Good morning, everybody. Welcome to a Saturday podcast episode. What's going on? Hey, what's up, Jose? Seen you already just hop in there during the intro and everything like that. So just shout out to you, dude. All right, so just kind of like a free talk Saturday type thing. I'm going to talk about a little bit of these movies that's coming out and just talk a little bit about that. Also, Twitter Spaces has opened up for me, so don't be surprised on Twitter if you start seeing me hosting some spaces where people could have conversations. Like I said, we're going to be talking about movies. So getting into Godzilla versus Kong, which is set to come in 2 weeks, or a little less than 2 weeks. We have that coming down the pike. So some interesting stuff. And then I'm going to talk about the Justice League Zack Snyder cut. As I tried to watch that yesterday, I gave it a valiant effort. And so I'll just kind of recap some of the things I noticed about the movie. I can't really give a full detailed analysis about the Justice League movie, only because, sadly to say, $70 million spent to extend the movie, and I passed out during the movie. I was watching it. I fell asleep. But I'll get into all those details here in a little bit. First of all, for those who are content creators on YouTube, if you log into YouTube Studios right now, there will be a link to a survey, and I strongly suggest, good morning to you too, sir. I strongly suggest that you take the survey and give real detailed feedback towards YouTube. Now, I'm not saying that this is, a promissory that YouTube is just going to miraculously change and make all your wildest dreams come true or whatever, but it gives you a position to show YouTube that they are really messing up in certain areas of their platform, and that they need to kind of go back to the drawing board and create a formula and format for YouTube to actually be a lot better. I'll be honest with everybody right now. I took the survey on YouTube Studios, and the survey lasted, I think it was like 25 minutes is what it took me to go through it. Some people might breeze through it a lot faster if you're giving bullshit answers to the survey. But if you're actually reading the questions and then responding accordingly to the questions, it might take you about like 25 minutes to half an hour for the survey. One of the things, I'll be open with everybody, one of the things that I really touched base with YouTube is how I felt that as a creator myself, that YouTube doesn't care to an extent that they should. Now, I don't expect for them to cater to me by having a personal YouTube employee come here and serve me hot tea and things like that as I'm live streaming. Trust me, I'm not that self-centered. Hey, what's up, Gene? Good morning to you. Hey, what's up, Josh? But I did give feedback to YouTube in critical positions such as, bullying and things like that goes on YouTube, and how I feel like that YouTube doesn't really handle that or give enough attention to that. That's some of the things that I did talk about. I also did talk about, their Fair Use Act and how I think that it needs to be revamped. The algorithm needs to be shifted to a certain extent. As the most recent live stream that I did on Thursday, where I kind of opened up about all these thoughts that I had in my head, and all this negativity that's within inside of me that is a constant voice in my head. At the end of it, I wanted to try something new. It was kind of a test, and so I reacted to one of my current favorite hip hop artists, which is NF. And I see a lot of people reacting to his videos, so I just wanted to kind of test something out. And sure enough, my video got blocked. My live stream got blocked. I got a notification on Studios. And it was funny because Studios is like, you can't monetize this. And to be honest, that live stream, monetization was never turned on for it in the first place. So I was just like, because I knew that the music video was going to be a major problem. But yeah, they've also blocked it from being viewed. And I'm like, wait a minute. Like, I see a lot of other YouTube channels reacting to this. Why are their videos, still able to be viewed? Why are people getting them, recommended to them? Because when I watched one creator's reaction to NF's video Lost with Hobson, another person's video was recommended. So it's being recommended, it's being pushed, it's being visible, but why is mine completely blocked? And so I thought that was pretty jacked up. So I left my detailed thoughts about YouTube and how it handles things. And I feel like it doesn't matter if you have, 10 million subscribers or 100 subscribers. So rules should be the same for everybody across. Now, if the big time YouTubers know of these loopholes that allow them to do these things, I still feel that's a bit jacked up, because then it's not a fair and equal playing field for everybody else. It's either we're not allowed to make reaction videos, or we are allowed to make reaction videos. And if a creator is making a reaction video, if they're not turning on monetization because they know that it's not fair to capitalize on somebody else's work, then there should be some sort of toggle switch that's placed within the where you set up the description and put your tags in. There should also be like a little toggle switch that says it's a reaction video. So therefore, YouTube can screen it, and if it doesn't violate any major terms, then it's viewable. I feel like that's something that needs to be brought to the table with YouTube, amongst other things, to make the community much more lively, because I've given my honest feedback to YouTube and basically stated to them that it feels like a dark, depressing place. Now, that could just be within like the smaller community that I am a part of, but I feel like a community, small or large, should have a voice to have YouTube kind of take wind of things that's going on. So hopefully this makes some much needed changes for the better for YouTube. But I'm just letting other creators know, when you log into studios from like a laptop or MacBook or a Chromebook, there's going to be like a little blue notification on the very top, like a blue banner. And it's going to have a link to a survey. I strongly suggest that you take the survey and give a feedback and be honest about it. Of course, who knows if they're linking it to your channel or not. They say they're not. They're saying that, your identity is being kept from YouTube, but who knows? They honestly, in that survey, there's a lot of comparisons between YouTube, Facebook, Instagram TV, Instagram, and TikTok. And so just know you're going to be giving some feedback regarding your thoughts of TikTok or any of those other platforms if you actually use them. So yeah, just real quick right there. So to kind of kickstart today, this morning I took to Twitter because yesterday I spent the day literally getting rid of some social platforms that I don't need to be on. I tweeted about it and stated that Facebook was no longer going to be a spot that I'm going to be active on. Like, I just decided to basically deactivate my Facebook account. And I knew I was going to do this because of the fact that 2 weeks ago, since Facebook does have a tool that allows you to sync all your videos and photos to Google Photos, I had all those photos and stuff like that I didn't want to lose. I had all those migrated over to Google Photos, so it allowed me to deactivate my Facebook. So Facebook is pretty much like off the table. And a major reason why I stopped using Facebook, I'm just sick and tired of the things that they're projecting on my feed. I don't care about the current president, much less do I need to see anything about him and these ridiculous policies that he's doing. I don't need to see anything else about, like hearsay stuff. Like, I'm sorry, I know a lot of people have their viewpoints about what happened in Atlanta and the hashtag Stop Asian Hate. You know what? I'm half Thai. I am Asian, and I think I think it's to me it's a bit offending. Like, all of a sudden people care about Asians, but why couldn't we care about Asians way before? Like, why couldn't people care about Asians when I was getting beat up for being Asian? I mean, geez, So to me, I just think that I don't want to see that kind of stuff. And Facebook doesn't really give me the ability to remove that type of stuff. Like, you can do these little edits to your Facebook account, but it still doesn't really implement a massive change where I don't have to see that type of crap. So I just got sick of it. I got sick of hearing people complain and bitch and everything like that on Facebook. So I just got off of it. Twitter is my mainstay. There are things about Twitter that I don't like, but my friends and a good amount of followers are on Twitter, and I'm not going to abandon them. So Twitter is just my active spot. That's just where, probably people have figured it out. They're probably like, why the hell is this guy tweeting links to these tech posts that he's reading and, just constantly posting a lot more than usual. And yeah, it's my main spot. I am taking the Sneed effect, because Sneed he's not on various different social platforms. And I feel his approach to this whole thing is probably one of the best approaches ever. You know what I mean? Like, he has Twitter to engage with audience outside of YouTube, and that's about it. He doesn't have a Facebook. He doesn't have an Instagram and all that other stuff, and that works. Now, of course, I'm not going to drop my Instagram because I have a lot of family photos and moments and stuff like that I'm just not going to give up on. And I live stream on Instagram too. So Twitter #1, Instagram 2. I have MeWe, and I barely go on it, but I mean, yeah, that's probably the only other place I would go to that is kind of similar to what Facebook is, and but less of the bullshit. So yeah, those are it. Parler is just like my political feed read. When you got a need to read the feed of politics and stuff like that, I go to Parler for that. So that's pretty much it. Everything else is pretty much just cut out. So since Twitter is also my main point, it's just kind of funny because since I made Twitter my main point as of yesterday, this morning I wake up and I have access to Spaces. Now, for everyone that has an iPhone and has signed up for Clubhouse, you pretty much know what Twitter Spaces is going to be. But if you don't have an iPhone, and because Clubhouse hasn't made their version for Android yet on their blog, they are working on it. However, Clubhouse, Twitter Spaces, and Facebook is making one of their own. But this is basically voice conversations and like a voice group chat that's not it's not streamlined. So it's not streaming to any platform, and it's not being saved. So Clubhouse, they don't save any of the conversations. So like if I started a Clubhouse talking about movies, like horror movies, and then like a lot of people came in and we just had like just a conversation, just like a hangout and talking, no video feed, no video streaming, no recording, just a hangout spot and people just actively talking. I mean, Josh, if he's still here, knows because he was on last night in one of the spaces on Twitter, hanging out with Latrell and a few other people that I know and some people that I don't know. And it was just like having random conversations. People were laughing and joking around. It was funny because I caught it in time. I don't know. Latrell was like, he was just goofing off on there. He was like telling people like, hey, do you want to hear my washer sing? And then he hit the button to the washer. It was like, and just everyone just kind of just erupted in laughter and everything. But very sociable without feeling like this is some sort of like creator type thing. And I have access to it now. Just this morning, a little message popped up. First of all, when I long pressed on the little bubble to start, tweet, it actually brought up 3 things. One of them was purple, and then a little message popped up at the bottom of my screen and was like, Twitter Spaces is a beta. You have been invited to try it out, and it told me where I can give feedback about Spaces. And I'm like, this is a very good tool. A lot of people will look at it and would be like, oh yeah, this is a very new feature for Twitter and this and that and the third. But when I looked at it, when I first heard about Spaces and I looked at it, I thought that this was going to be an extremely awesome tool. A tool that I can use, a tool that, since people on YouTube can who have Twitter accounts can follow me on Twitter, they can also give me feedback like in an open group session to help me better position myself here on YouTube as far as like for the podcast and bringing relevant things that they would love to see. So that's the first thing that came to mind. The second thing that came to mind is that I can hang out with all my friends on Twitter without having to live stream to Twitter. You know what I mean? So, because I mean, I know a lot of us, Jose would know this. Josh knows this. Sneed, Carlos, and everyone else can pretty much attest to this. And that is one of the major reasons that they live stream on Periscope /Twitter is to engage and interact with their followers and their friends, so they live stream it. Spaces will negate having to live stream and will just allow, like say Sneed, Carlos, and, Josh and Sheep and Moose and everybody else to get on in a group on Spaces on Twitter and just conversate. And yes, it doesn't live feed to anything. However, and a lot of people are not stupid about this, but like iPhones and Android currently have screen record. So if you are having a conversation, you're like, this conversation is about to pick up. It's going to get very unique. Someone's going to say something fantastic. You can screen record and it will capture it. Sorry, Twitter. There's a way to do it. It will capture it, and you can then share it. You know what I mean? For other people that you think might want to know this information, they can get it. So on top of Twitter Spaces, you can have it set up. So like right now, I was like playing around with it when I first got it at like 6:45 in the morning, my time. And so like I was like, okay, well, let me see what this does. And so I just wanted to see how the setup was for Spaces, you know what I mean? So you don't title it, as far as from what I know, or I didn't see where you would title the name of the group that you're going to engage with when you fully open the space, so people can come in and just conversate or listen. Because you can choose to participate and speak, or you can just be a listener and just listen to the conversation. And but one of the things that it did say is like, there's like 3 different settings for if you're, if it's like open to anyone to speak. So like if you have your space up live and there's people joining in, if they're not following you on Twitter, they still have the ability to request to speak. And of course, you, the creator of the space or a moderator, has the ability to give that person, access to speak as well as listen. But you could also set it to where only your followers are given the ability to speak in the space. Anybody else who's not following you would just randomly become just a listener. Not randomly, but they would only be a listener. They wouldn't have the ability to request to speak. And that's kind of cool, because if you wanted to, kind of keep it, open for people to listen to, but, you want to prevent, say, like trollers and things like that from coming in and trying to just mess things up or whatever, or agitate people. They won't be able to unless they're following you and you're following them. But by then, you're not going to just, follow someone that just, engaged with you that looks suspicious. I mean, you can kind of sniff out troll accounts. So, and you can have it just, completely private, where it's just like only a select group of friends, like people that you select as your friends out of your followers, are allowed to be in the space. So, I mean, it's got some control there to kind of just, not become like a negative, not a negative space. And I think that's a cool thing about it. So don't be alarmed if I just start random spaces, because sometimes, I have a little downtime to myself, might be a little bored and just want to chat with people. And so I may open up the space just to talk. So that will happen. Yeah, so be on the lookout for that. And also some Twitter news too is that Twitter is really thinking about doing some sort of subscription-based thing for Twitter accounts. Now, from what I was able to gather from it, and what they're intending to do is they're gonna have, I don't know, this is not the official name, so don't think that this is the official name of it, but they're gonna have something similar to what is like you can consider a super follower. So you have regular followers on Twitter. You have super followers that I believe will be paying a monthly subscription. And in order for you to enable that for your Twitter account and also be able to reap, the benefits of that, you have to engage in some sort of way that goes a lot further than the normality of what Twitter is. So it could be anything to like, specific tweets that only they can see, maybe some photo op that only they are allowed to view, and maybe video posts that only they may be able to view as well. Those types of things, in order for them to be paying a monthly subscription to being a super follower on your Twitter account, you must give some sort of perks. And I think that's actually pretty cool. So am I gonna, resort to this? Probably, if it feels right. Because I'm the type of person where it's just like, I don't open up a lot of avenue for revenue unless I feel comfortable about it. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I mean, one of the things is I have to be, pretty active on Twitter in order for it to even freaking mean something. And so yeah, I gotta step my Twitter game up. But yeah, this is something that's gonna be coming pretty soon, pretty interesting. So I figured, a lot of people might be interested in that. So definitely be on the lookout for that. I don't know when they're going to roll this feature out. I don't know who is it going to apply to. I don't know if they're going to narrow it down and just, be like verified Twitter accounts will only have access to doing this. I'm not entirely sure. Because there are a lot of Twitter accounts that belong to some pretty influential people that don't have the blue check mark and considered verified on Twitter. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. So, anyways, yeah. So moving on just a little bit here, not a very long episode today, but we are at the dawn of Godzilla versus Kong. We're at the dawn of it. March 31st is when it's actually available on HBO Max and in movie theaters. And I'm starting to see the famous tweets that's going on. I just, I selected my choice in a poll that was put out, and I am Team Godzilla. So anyone that follows me on Twitter probably saw that. And yeah, it's gearing up. But again, like a lot of people are like, I'm Team Godzilla, I'm Team Kong, and Kong's gonna whip Godzilla's ass, or Godzilla's gonna whip Kong's ass, and all this other stuff. Like, all I know is this: Godzilla's gonna have a major wound on his chest, and I know this because the other day when I streamed on Periscope, and I was taking my kids to go spoil them. I took them clothes shopping and shopping for new toys that they might want. My youngest daughter, she is a huge Godzilla fan, and so she chose to buy the toy from the Godzilla versus Kong movie. She got Godzilla, and when we opened the toy so she can play with it, there's a lot of additional pieces to the toy, like his atomic breath. You could attach it. You have to open his jaw, and there's like a port that you would shove the atomic breath a piece into it to make it look like he's shooting his atomic breath. And also his chest has an open wound, and then there's a piece that you can push in that fits like a puzzle into his chest to make it where he doesn't have a wound. So if you bought like Kong, who's going to have the battle axe, you can play with the toys and make the toy Kong deeply wound Godzilla. So that tells me that in the fight sequence that takes place in Japan, where Kong has the battle axe that has the blade of the axe is actually made by one of the plates on Godzilla's back. When Kong apparently, I guess, jumps at Godzilla's atomic breath attack, and he shields himself using the blade of his battle axe, and he strikes Godzilla in the face. You can also kind of see with the downward strike motion, it's going to hit Godzilla in the head and in the chest. And I believe that's the point where he opens up Godzilla and creates a giant wound in Godzilla's chest. So I know that for a fact. This is based off the toy. That's that. I mean, I am fully geared up for Godzilla versus Kong. Like anyone that has been an avid follower of the kaiju universe, anyone that's been watching Toho, I've been watching Godzilla that was produced by Toho since I was a kid. I mean, sure, he's changed over time, and I have to say for the better, because nothing creeped me out more than the 60s version of Godzilla, where he had these big boggle eyes and it just looked weird. Like when he was fighting in the movie, everything was cool, but anytime that there was a cut in the movie where Godzilla would look like at the camera, these big boggle eyes and in his teeth, it was freaky as hell. So who do I think is going to win? Because people keep weighing on this, even though, we're seeing a lot of videos that's being released by various different other content creators who cover movies. The movie buffs are, obviously giving the obvious that the antagonist is neither Godzilla or Kong, that they're technically both protagonists with an ancient rivalry between them. However, Mechagodzilla is going to be the antagonist in this movie, and that's pretty much like 80% confirmed. So we'll have to see how that pans out. But we do know that majority of the movie is going to be a lot of like backstory explanations with like maybe a couple of fight sequences between Godzilla and Kong in various different places. And then ultimately ending to their final confrontation in Japan in their brutal fight between each other, which will then lead to Mechagodzilla's appearance in the final battle, where we're more than likely going to see Kong and Godzilla team up to take on Mechagodzilla. I feel like that this movie kind of panders to both sides of the table, because I guess they don't want to really choose a side. So they don't want Godzilla really defeated by Kong or Kong defeated by Godzilla. Some of these things that were real dead giveaways about the movie is the fact that Godzilla obviously being king of the monsters, and then them finding or them taking Kong back to Hollow Earth, where he finds his battle axe, and of course that's where they discover that a lot of the myths and the legends you know, are real between this ancient war, and that Godzilla and Kong are the last two standing of this war. I don't have to go into full detail about how there's so much disrespect from Kong to Godzilla, but if you really need to see that, just watch Godzilla King of the Monsters and watch the part of the movie where all the other Titans are being awakened, yet when they ask where Kong's whereabouts is, when Ghidorah awakened all the other Titans, Kong never left Skull Island because, of course, Kong doesn't bow to anybody. Okay, Metalhead 555, welcome and thank you for being here. It says, I definitely think that the 1998 Godzilla film had a great and realistic approach to it. Wish they would have did more. Wish they would have did more. Like it, at least it was realistic. I don't know about that one. You're talking about sort of like the Godzilla 2000 movie, right? Where like Godzilla was a mutated iguana. I don't know. I have to disagree with you on that one. I mean, the realistic part, like I get what you're saying about that, and I mean, I guess that aspect kind of like has good merit there. But the backstory of Godzilla, how they portray Godzilla's mannerisms and things like that, just doesn't fit what the creators at Toho did. And I think that's the reason why in the movie Godzilla Final Wars, Toho decided to make a big statement about what their opinions were of the Godzilla 2000 movie by once Godzilla is awakened in his captivity in Antarctica, because he was frozen in the ice in Antarctica and he awakened. They were making Godzilla follow that battleship called Gotengo, and his after leaving Antarctica, his first destination was Sydney, Australia, and in Sydney, Australia is where those mutants that invaded Earth, they unleashed Zilla. They gave the name Zilla to the Godzilla from the Godzilla 2000 movie, and in there, so you have the Godzilla from Godzilla 2000, and then you have Toho's Godzilla, and Zilla was defeated in 5 seconds. So the battle sequence of that standoff between the two. Zilla runs at Godzilla, jumps in the air. Godzilla tail swats him into the Sydney Opera House, and then atomic breath kills him. And that's pretty much the fight. So, I get what you're saying with the whole realisticness of it. I guess the feel of it. Story-wise, plot-wise, backstory, and all that other stuff, I thought they got it wrong. Not wrong, but it didn't appeal to me. I didn't need a new explanation of how this Godzilla was here. I just wanted to see what America's take would be on Godzilla. Because this whole Godzilla versus Kong, while most, the young generation is not going to know this, but this ain't the first time that movies didn't put these two giants together. Godzilla versus Kong happened 2 times before, once in the 50s, and I think another time in the late 60s, early 70s, there was another Godzilla versus Kong movie, but in both movies Kong wins, because obviously Kong is is the American Titan monster and Godzilla is Japan's Titan monster. So it's like really having those two kind of like it's like having robot death battle matches. You know what I mean? Like if America built a robot, the robot would be Kong, and Japan built a robot, it would be Godzilla, and you put them in the ring, and who's going to win? So in the past, and please don't mind my kids, Saturday, they're loving Saturdays, so they're just like being super loud right now. But Godzilla was always defeated in those two movies, but in this one we're seeing a little bit of a difference now. It's more of just like they know that there's huge fans of Godzilla fans here in America, so they don't want Godzilla to be put down, but they don't want Kong to get put down. So throughout the movie you kind of see this, and you see where this is all going, right? Because there's Hollow Earth and there's Middle Earth, and Kong goes to Middle Earth and gets that battle axe. Let me correct myself from what I said earlier. It wasn't the Hollow Earth. The Hollow Earth is where Godzilla basically feeds, off the radiation to replenish himself. Middle Earth is where Kong finds the battle axe and sees where it's at. So initially, both of them are going to get king statuses, right? Well, Godzilla technically already has a king status because when he killed Ghidorah in King of the Monsters, the other Titans bowed to him at the end. So Godzilla's pretty much already king of the monsters. Now, where does Kong get the title of king? Obviously, he's going to be king in the Middle Earth. See, any of these cosmic level heroes and villains tend to become too unrelatable and less interesting as time goes. Yes, and as they try to, for some that don't really have much of a vivid backstory, when they try to build them like a very vivid backstory, is where they kind of tend to lose people who follow them. And yeah, but I mean that's for like a whole different topic of like how movies are when they're first presented, when they're rebooted and rebooted and rebooted time and time again. I'll probably do that on another episode. But anyways, guys, March 31st, Godzilla versus Kong. We'll see what happens there. We'll see if a lot of people's predictions is it going to be, first fight goes to Kong, second fight goes to Godzilla, third fight goes to Kong again, and then both stand off against Mechagodzilla. What's going to happen there? We'll know, but just be tuned to it because the day that the movie drops, I'm watching it. And not long after I watch it, I am going to go live and talk about it. So you'll hear my full detail analysis about that. But anyways, let's get into the Zack Snyder Justice League. Okay, this is a long movie, so I'm going to tell people right now, if you don't believe it's a long movie, don't just look at it saying that it's 4 hours long. It literally is. It's really long. Now, I kind of get the idea of what they were doing with the Justice League movie with the Zack Snyder cut, adding additional footage to it, some backstories and some other things to try and bridge it together. I think what they really tried to do was clean up a lot of the disconnect in the first in the Justice League movie that was released previously, just after Batman versus Superman: Dawn of Justice, because that's one of the things with the DC universe that I feel a lot when it comes towards their movies versus the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The Marvel Cinematic Universe tends to really try to emphasize and highlight on bridging movies together by a lot of post-credit scenes, a lot of stories overlapping. It's like as if like the writer that they have for these movies has a very damn good memory, because when like they do something, say with the Avengers, and they have Peter Parker in there cameo, that's Spider-Man, they tend to do something that kind of like explains how Spider-Man gets linked with the Avengers, and by his own solo movie kind of bringing in, such as Tony Stark's in the Spider-Man movies, to really kind of show that there is a real built relationship between Tony Stark and Peter Parker, and not just have like Spider-Man show up in the second Avengers movie and then just kind of leave like a disconnect in Spider-Man Homecoming or whatever. And so that's with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But with the DC Universe, I feel like that because their competition to contend against the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they take it very seriously. It's like when you have a pretty damn good idea on something that is going to like either be on par with your opponent or probably put you in a marginal lead against your opponent, you kind of go to the table and you rush development of it. And then it doesn't turn out the way that you envisioned it. And I think that's what the DC universe suffers from when it comes to the Justice League, Batman, and Superman, is that very problem. What I find really hard is like, the Justice League is pretty much like the Avengers, right? You can pretty much like put them on opposite sides of the table as contenders against each other and in a fair manner. So if that is, why is it that the movies such as Aquaman had, a better response from fans and, than the Justice League movie? And it's not because Jason Momoa plays Arthur Curry. It's not even about that, but it's just like when I watch these movies, when I watched the Aquaman movie, I felt like that the creation of the Aquaman movie, they had dedication and they paid attention to it from detail from beginning to end. And so it felt like a genuine movie, even to the non-movie buffs out there and the non-comic book reading fans. You know what I mean? They were able to be sucked into the movie, because that's the whole point of watching a movie. Is not just watching on the screen and listening to the dialogue between characters and be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's pretty cool, you know. But it tries to suck you into the movie and make you feel like you're immersed in the movie, almost as if trying to pivot this, you know, virtual world, like you're standing there watching it. Which, on a side note, if that's how movies are going to be 10, 15 years from now, hopefully I get to see a virtual movie before I pass away, because I would love to be able to just like be like, I'm standing in the middle of a Spider-Man movie and like being able to turn around and see all things going on with the movie, and but not actually physically, you know, really being there at the movie. I think that'd be super dope, but that's just a side note. Yeah, so with the Zack Snyder cut, spoiler alert, by the way, right now at this point. So if you don't want to know some of the things that happens, go ahead and click away. Come back after you watch the movie, because there's going to be some spoiler alerts, you know, here. And I'm just giving my thoughts on the Zack Snyder Justice League movie. I mean, so give about a good few minutes here. It was really good. It was really good, and shout out to Jared Leto, because that was a whole different turn, and I'll get into that here in a little bit. You know, overall, to kind of start ahead before ruining with spoilers, if I'm going to rate this movie out of 10 stars, I'm going to give it a solid 6. And I think I think that's being fair, and a little bit more than fair, but a solid 6. Because I've seen other people's responses to the movie, and there's a lot of people that were kind of like disappointed in it, and I'll kind of touch base with that too as well. Okay, I think I've given enough time for people to jump off, so there's no spoilers for them. Okay. So first of all, it's a 4-hour movie. It's pretty freaking long, and I think, to be honest with a lot of people, I know that sometimes, you know, directors and stuff like that, they try to do this thing where they push the boundaries when it comes to movies, right? So like they're like, okay, how are we going to make this movie stand out and be memorable? And some directors and some producers think like, oh, if we make this freaking thing 4 hours long, it is freaking huge as hell. Hey, what's up, squids? And you're lurking while working, man. Hopefully work today is you know, isn't so bad. You know what I mean? Because I know there's days where you just get those calls that just really just want you to just throw the computer monitor. So hopefully it's all good, bro. But yeah, like some directors from movies are just like, hey, yeah, you know, let's make this thing like 4 hours long. I mean, that's a record. That's a long ass movie, and it is a long ass movie. Now, to some people who have access to Jolt Cola and Surge Cola and stuff like that, and you know, that have caffeine in their blood to just keep them completely awake, more power to you. They will appreciate a film like this. They will appreciate the Justice League, the Zack Snyder cut. But there are those people who, you know, they need they need to have literally like an intermission break. Because some people just can't. They just can't go 4 hours straight watching a movie like that. And I'm one of them. I am one of them. And trust me, like, I've been a comic book nerd for a long freaking time. You know what I mean? So and to clarify this, I'm a comic book nerd, not a comic book geek. What's the difference between the two? A comic book nerd likes comic books and knows main aspects of it and everything like that. A comic book geek can tell you everything from all the first 400 releases of the Detective Comics from DC. And if you don't know what the Detective Comics was, that's Batman. Like Spider-Man, that has various different ones, like Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2099, Spectacular Spider-Man. Batman also had various timeline series like The Detective, The Dark Knight, Batman. So it goes on there. Real quick comment here. I am really and truly hoping we see Ben Affleck's Batman versus Jared Leto's Joker set in the post. Yes. I'm going to get into that. That's a good thing you mentioned that. But well, let's just get into it right now. Screw it. So one of the key sequences in the movie that really kind of captivated me was the epilogue. So like right after I think it was part 6 is what they named it, where they take down Steppenwolf. The epilogue is where, you know, so Bruce Wayne has one of his other premonition dreams, like he did in Batman versus Superman, where he had this fear of like Superman going bad and controlling the world. He had another one, and it was in the post-apocalyptic scene, as said just now in the comment. And it was an interesting thing because they were on the move, and it was Batman along with Cyborg and a few other people. One of them happened to be the Joker, and it was Jared Leto's Joker, but not the one from Suicide Squad. So he didn't have his grill, he didn't have shiny teeth, he didn't look all G'd out gangster and everything like that. This Joker looked crazy. I mean, when this Joker hits the big screen, I honestly feel like it's going to be a contender against Heath Ledger's Joker. But here's my vibe on Jared Leto's Joker, right off just from that sequence in the movie. I feel he's a hell of a lot darker. So you have Jack Nicholson, who is just like funny but demented and kind of crazy. You have Heath Ledger, who is like chaotic, psychotic. You have what's his name, Joaquin Phoenix, as depraved, damaged, and a little sociopath, right? Jared Loker. Keep on Loker's Joker. Jared Leto's Joker. Blech, tongue-tied. From Suicide Squad was more of just like psycho aggressive. But in this sequence in the Justice League movie, he's scary. I mean, there's times in the shot where they kind of blur him a little bit, just because I feel like that they're not trying to reveal too much about him. So they kind of blur him a little bit here and there as they're giving like, the viewpoint from Batman to the Joker. But then there is a point because the Joker, and one of the things that I really appreciated about the dialogue between Batman and Joker there was where the Joker makes a reference to Robin. So like in Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, we see that, Bruce Wayne, when he's walking through that one scene and it shows Robin's suit and it had ha 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 kind of, like painted on it. That was a dead giveaway, right? That Robin was killed by Joker. But in the epilogue sequence where Joker and Batman is conversing in the post-apocalypse scene, Joker admits and takes ownership of killing Robin. And that liner that he uses in the movie was just, it was dark, but it was funny, but dark. First of all, the Joker kind of like is creating a truce with Batman. He pulls out a card and he tells him that this card is a symbol of a truce between them two. However, if the Batman breaks the card, then he basically breaks the truth between him and Joker. They go back to their rivalry. But in there, he tells Batman, and he kind of like puts the blame on Batman why Robin was killed. And he tells him this one-liner. And this one-liner is that you never send a boy to do a man's job. So now that opens up a whole door of like, what the fuck happened to Robin? Like, why was Robin even going after the Joker alone? Because now we know that Batman was not with Robin when Robin was killed, right? Because if the Batman and Robin were, let's say they were to make the movie about it and Batman and Robin were hunting down Joker, then there would be no need to use that log of never send a boy to do a man's job because, Batman and Robin were together. So it'd be more of just like, you suck as a hero. You couldn't even save your own sidekick. It would have been that type of dialogue given if both Batman and Robin pursued Joker, but he didn't say that. He said that you never send a boy to do a man's job. And that meant that there had to have been something that happened where Batman and Robin had to split up and Robin was sent to go after the Joker while Batman was sent to do something else. We need a movie to explain that. And I hope that they're intending to do that with, of course, keeping Jared Leto as the Joker. I'm sorry, some people may disagree and hate on him or whatnot, but you need to give Jared Leto a chance. First of all, Jared Leto is probably one of my top 20 favorite actors. I dig, his movies and the way that he is. Requiem of a Dream was a solid, good movie for its time. Lord of Wars, I thought, he played a crazy good drug addicted younger brother to the world's biggest arms dealer. And so yeah, but besides that, his band 30 Seconds to Mars just fucking kicks ass. That's one of my favorite top 10 bands. So yeah, I give Jared Leto a chance. But yeah, they have that conversation. Obviously, the Joker is joining Batman's group, and then Superman just comes down as Cyborg says he's found us, and boom, Superman just lands. But you see that Superman is dark, and to me, I feel like that, they're really bringing out and playing on Batman's fears that Superman could one day even try to be a god to the earth. I don't know if most people knows this, but there is a point where Batman is kicked out of the Justice League, and that's just because the Justice League. I don't know why I'm tongue tied this morning, but the Justice League finds out that Batman had a dossier file on every one of them of their weaknesses and strengths. So he had a way to take them out if they ever gone rogue. And the Joker and all the villains get a hold of this and use it to their advantage, nearly almost killing every member of the Justice League. And the plan is thwarted, and Batman is voted out. Sad. Leto redeemed himself with the cameo, and Zack gave him a chance, and I want more. Yes, exactly. I agree with you, Technoid. And shout out for being here. That scene had a very big impact on me. Amongst the entire 4-hour movie that I probably only watched 2 hours and 10 minutes of it because halfway through I knocked out. And this is what I'm going to tell people this word of advice. If you're going to watch a 4-hour movie, don't do it from a Chromebook, laptop, MacBook. Don't do it from the comfort of your bed. Because I got real comfortable in certain scenes that just were not appealing to me, and I just ended up knocking out. And I woke up towards the end. So right around where Cyborg's dad was heating up the third mother box, not to destroy it, but to use it to make it a beacon so they can locate where Steppenwolf had the other mother boxes and where they were going to unify them to try to basically destroy, not really destroy Earth, but to bring Darkseid through. So I mean, that was a that was like a crazy point. But the Joker, I do agree with you on that, Techno. The Joker, Jared Leto, was very well redeemed, and my take from it, he's scary. I mean, just the makeup effect. I mean, yes, his hair was long this time. So, Jared Leto didn't cut his hair for this Joker. They let him rock his long hair. It was dyed green, not a bright green, more of a very dingy, dark kind of green, a little muggy-ish. Pale face, obviously, but the biggest key factor was the mouth. I thought they did a nice touch on it. So while it did have the red makeup around the lips to kind of emphasize like a clown, but it almost looked as if it was like blood, and fuck it. Let me see if I can find a photo of it and I'll just show everybody. I think this just warrants everyone to see it. If I'm going to sit here and describe it, I mean, yeah, describing it's kind of cool, but you guys have to see it also. So let's see. Jared Leto's Joker. See if I can find, I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of images. Yeah, well, these ones are, here we go. So this completely changes. All right, let me share this because there's multiple photos, and everyone that sees this can actually see that they actually did change. It's not grand changes, but it feels like a grand change, right? So we had this Joker, right, that everyone was kind of just like upset, pissed off about, or whatever, whatnot. Just from the way that he looked, with like all the tattoos, the ha-ha-has and whatnot. But I mean, here is where it gets kind of interesting. So this is what Joker looked like when he had that dialogue with Batman, telling him that you never send a boy to do a man's job. This is crazy. The way that, okay, so at first glance, there's not much to him, right? But really stare at him. Like really focus on him. I mean, literally, like, let's just, hold on. Let me drop this out and then I'll just like kind of zoom in on it. So, okay, take a moment to appreciate that. I wouldn't want to be sitting at a bus stop bench next to this guy. No way, no how. I mean, okay, so like I was saying about, you know, the makeup to the lips, right? Because he's, you know, obviously portraying a clown. Green hair, pale face, dark eyes, red mouth. The Joker. But doesn't that look like just from the makeup effects itself, doesn't it look like Joker's a cannibal? Like he bit into somebody's neck and that's like, you know, the remnants of blood just splattered like on his face from like a really insane bite. I mean, you got the dark eyes and you got the cold stare, which I think Leto emulates very, very well in this sequence. Almost as if like he's there, but he's not there. You know what I mean? The clinically insane. He draws that out very, very well, right? Because when you look at this guy right now with that deer in the headlights blank stare, it makes you think that he's not even mentally there. But then he'll catch you off guard when he touches a certain nerve because he is actually clinically there in his head. It's just who he is. I feel like that with the way Leto portrayed Joker in that small couple of minutes of that sequence dialogue between him and Batman, really, I feel like it pulls a lot of the chaotic Heath Ledger Joker mixed with the psychotic sociopath of freaking Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. Not really emphasized out of Jack Nicholson's Joker, but at the same time too, kind of just a little bit playing on Mark Hamill's Joker. So I think Leto probably did his homework a lot more on the Joker to really embody the character here. And I think what he's going for is quite scary, to be honest. So this could be the real dark, scary Joker that, you know, we've been wanting for a long time. We've seen a lot of different Jokers come to pass. We love when they bust jokes that are, you know, kind of corny, yet, you know, they're kind of like, yeah, you know, that's the Joker. But I feel like with this like I want to see the movie now. That's the whole thing about it. I want to see the movie, like not the one with Robert Pattinson playing Batman and whatnot, you know, the early days of Batman, but now I want to see, you know, just the standoff between Batman and Joker, like what happens. Like give us a trilogy movie on that. I would think that's dope if they did a trilogy movie and it's all pertaining to the pursuit of the Joker. Like why not? You know what I mean? Like why not have, you know, the origin of the war between the Joker and Batman, how that all came to be. Kind of like what they kind of did with the Dark Knight series. And then the middle movie, give us Robin's death. How does it actually fall on Batman's hands? And why would the Joker tell Batman that you never sent a boy to do a man's job? And then go into a finalized point. I think that would be actually pretty cool. Well, what I found interesting was when they did the flashback scene with Cyborg and you see Superman become part of Darkseid's allegiance. Notice that the card was split in half when it flew across the screen. Yes. Now, so you really pay attention to like super details on that. And that's really good because if you have an eye to catch Easter eggs and things like that, the movie gets well explained than if you didn't catch any of the Easter eggs. I think that's one of the funniest things about movies nowadays versus movies years ago. Movies years ago didn't really focus on Easter eggs all too much. And if they had Easter eggs, it was very subtle. It was subtle to tell you that two different movies are about to cross paths and, you know, bring two different characters together. That was pretty much it. Nowadays, there's Easter eggs for a lot of things. And so that's a very, very good thing. Another cameo appearance in the movie was Martian Manhunter, finally brought into the screen. And so, but that was like a dialogue because that happens after Bruce wakes up from his post-apocalyptic dream that he had right where Superman found them and landed on the ground. And you just see how, you know, he's evil. And before the fight or the attack happens, then all of a sudden Bruce wakes up in his bed, gets up, you know, and he is then greeted by Martian Manhunter. So let's see. So I think that the Joker may play a part in the whole dark side takeover. Maybe he has a role with Batman and how he and him are important to Superman not being bad because Joker kills Lois. Yeah. Don't give too much away. No, but yeah, you do have a point because they do say it in the movie. They do talk about how Lois is the key. The Lois is the key. So, and I think that's kind of good. They give Lois a lot more than just being Superman's, his main squeeze. She fits in an important role as far as like Superman. So, when you really kind of look at the relationship between Clark and Lois, right? It's love, obviously, because from the comic books, it's always been love between them two. When they get together finally, but they also emphasize an importance that Lois keeps Superman grounded, right? Because Superman's not a human, he's a Kryptonian. He's from Krypton. He's an alien foreign to our planet. And, he could destroy the entire world if he wanted to. He could bring mankind to their knees and force them to worship him as a god. He could do all those things, but he doesn't. And one of the main things that keeps his ass balanced is Lois. And it is emphasized even in the original, not the original, but in the first showing of the Justice League before Zack Snyder's cut of it. You see a point where when Superman is revived back to life, right? Obviously, he starts whipping the shit out of the Justice League members, especially when he gets his eyes on Batman. And it wasn't until Lois interfered. And so that's how powerful, that Lois is on Superman. She doesn't need superhuman abilities, flying in the air, being indestructible, or burning shit up with batshit crazy laser eyes. No. But she is a powerful character because, first of all, Superman is her protector. Obviously, he's always going to protect Lois. He's always going to be there to save her. So it's like, and yeah, she keeps him grounded enough to that, he won't go sideways or whatever. So that's some of the things that you have to take in consideration. Sorry, I picked that up from the game Injustice. But yeah, Snyder should be allowed to finish his universe. Yeah, he should. He should definitely. I agree with that. I wish I was on the show with you and I could talk this stuff all day and all night. Well, let's see. If you're going to do it on your channel, let me know. Let's do it on yours. Because I pretty much already touched base with it, and I'm like hitting at my last couple of minutes here where I'm about to close out the podcast. But I seen you did Jeepers Creepers, and if you guys missed Technoid's coverage on Jeepers Creepers with special guest Killjoy Jake, you need to check it out. I thought it was very well done. I thought it was pretty awesome, and I enjoyed it. I caught a glimpse of it live, but I was busy yesterday. I had to go back and replay it last night before I went to sleep and watched it, and I thought you did an amazing job with the Jeepers Creepers Reborn, going back to the first movies, talking a little bit about the first movies, the second movies, third movies. I thought your handling of Victor Salva, that situation, I thought you put it very eloquently, and yeah, I appreciate it. So again, for those who are watching, if you missed Technoid's live stream on Jeepers Creepers Reborn, please check it out. I know I've done one talking about it. You guys need to check his out. But in closing to this Justice League, the Zack Snyder cut, I really honestly feel like, they're like, I can see where people are posting and saying $70 million to extend the movie was, just a bunch of crap. I hear people on it. We did get, just outside of, the ending, because I know I focused more on the end and everything like that with like the Joker and Martian Manhunter who makes an appearance, but throughout the movie itself, parts that are extended or, little backstory sequences that's given. Some of it I think is necessary to help us really kind of understand. And I feel like that's what their end goal was to fill in a lot of blank gaps. Because like I said earlier, when the Justice League movie first came out, it felt like that they rushed it. Like they just had to topple the Avengers so badly that they had a great idea that would have done it, but they didn't execute it right. And that's why the movie felt a little disconnected, because it was like, you go through each character of the Justice League and then you're like, well, I mean, where's the solid transition to becoming that team where like we get some of the backstories from each person and how and why Bruce Wayne had picked them to recruit them to build this team. But yet it's still kind of left cold and disconnected to a certain point. So I feel like that, it shouldn't take 4 hours to kind of like fill in the hole in the wall. It's like taking spackle and covering like a nail punch hole in the wall. Like it doesn't take 4 hours to do that. But I think they just had a lot of good ideas, or what they thought were good ideas, that they really wanted to kind of portray in the movie, and they wanted to execute that and see how well that kind of fit in. And yes, the end result was a 4-hour long movie. But yeah, I kind of agree with that it was a waste of $70 million to an extent. But then again, how much necessary to kind of like redeem the first release of the Justice League. I just felt like that 4 hours is kind of long. But that's just me. That's a personal preference here. That's subjective. Other people may think the 4 hour long special was great. But to be quite fair, would I recommend people to watch this movie? And the answer to that question is yes, especially if you are a DC fan. You need to watch this movie. It's great. To an extent. I wouldn't say it's phenomenal and life-changing or anything like that, but it's great, and it does very well, and the end it'll get you. I also remember the original 2018 version of the Justice League came out before the first Wonder Woman and Aquaman, so there was a lot less intro for the characters then. Yeah, exactly. That's the great point about it. That's what I mean by it. Is like in the Justice League, you didn't get much of a backstory in there when they first released the Justice League, and solo movies weren't out yet. I mean, the only one that came before Justice League was the Dawn of Justice, Batman versus Superman. And, we didn't get a Batman, movie, because you can't take Christopher Nolan's movie and just say there's Batman's backstory, because that's completely different. We have to look at it from a totally different point of view. And we haven't gotten that yet. We don't have Batman's solo movie yet. We're about to get the one with Robert Pattinson, but not Ben Affleck's one. Aquaman and Wonder Woman came later than the Justice League, so that was just like, here's all the group, here's the whole team assembled, and then here's their backstory. And I kind of get certain aspects of it, but like I said, that's where I feel like there was a lot of disconnect felt there. Final comment is this was the first 4-hour movie where I genuinely didn't feel bored, and I asked this question: why didn't Warner Brothers just let Zack do the thing? They messed up their own universe by doing that, but glad we saw it. Yes, I agree there. I mean, you have the stamina to do it. I'm an old guy here, so that's probably also what played into me passing out. So I do need to rewatch the movie up from the point where I know that I last saw, and continue on to watch the missing gap of the movie, because I did pass out to it. That's why I can't give like a deep analysis of the Zack Snyder cut. As I knocked out towards it. So I'm actually going to do that here in a little while. But I did want to make something of it in this podcast today and kind of talk about it and just give my reaction, especially to Jared Leto. So shout out to him. This Joker is creepy as fuck. I would not hang out with this guy, even if he was trying to be warm and be like, yeah, come join my gang and be one of my henchmen. It's like, fuck you, dude. You look too damn crazy for me to hang out with. It's just that it looked like he bit the shit out of somebody right there. Like that looks like blood on his face, not makeup. So, I mean, it possibly could be. He possibly could have killed a guard, or, just some random ass person. Who knows? There is no rhyme or reason to the Joker. And I think people really need to stop trying to solve the Joker. And I think that's the reason why, I really like Heath Ledger as the Joker, because his Joker, there's no backstory to him. They couldn't find a fingerprint from him. His clothes are custom made, so they don't know where he's going to shop. So that's how they can't locate him, because he just came out of nowhere and there was no rhyme or reason to him. He just wanted to be the exact opposite to the Batman, without anyone knowing really what he's causing is a balanced effect. And he kind of was, being Batman's opposite. Warner Brothers Sony saw the success of Marvel Avengers movies and decided to make their big Justice League right away to make the big bucks up front. Business logic, but not good movie progression. Exactly. So I do want to thank everybody that came in this morning for this podcast. Thank you guys so much. Hopefully this makes up for not having a podcast yesterday. Also, if you're not following me on Twitter, go ahead and follow me on Twitter. I'll have the links in the description, as I will start opening up some spaces just to have group talks with some friends on Twitter. So if you guys want to come listen and see what we talk about and just listen in on the conversation or whatnot, that's cool. If you follow me, just know that you will have access, like you will have the ability to speak in the groups on spaces. So that's pretty awesome. Thanks for checking out this edition of movies and stuff like that. And again, to all creators, before you guys leave, if you haven't taken the survey for YouTube, take it. It's a good time to express your thoughts about YouTube. They're actually covering all aspects of it, from how they treat their creators to bullying on YouTube and all that stuff. You could give your feedback, and hopefully that makes an impact and a change on YouTube, and kind of also helps the creators who feel like that YouTube doesn't give a shit about them. Maybe YouTube will finally get the message that they need. They need something for all creators, large and small, and not just focus on the large ones for profitability. But yeah, that's it for right now, guys. I will see you guys in the next one. If you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe, hit the bell icon, hit all to be notified when I do go live. Again, shout out to the channel members for being a member of the channel. Appreciate you guys so much for rocking with the team. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. Love you guys very much. Take it easy. Enjoy your weekend. Peace.